Welcome to Chasing Hard podcast, where we talk about trusting God when life doesn't turn out the way you planned. If you've been around any amount of time, you have encountered at least one situation in your life, big or small. It didn't go exactly how you thought it would go, exactly how you planned for it to go. And that's called life. You've been listening in here. You've heard some conversations with different people who've experienced usually some pretty huge events in their lives that didn't go quite how they planned, that changed the trajectory of their lives, that changed everything that they knew. And they've talked about the choices they were faced with. And typically, if they want to be a part of the conversation, they usually choose to allow God to work in the situation. Because even though they didn't plan on it, they didn't see it coming, they felt ill prepared, God was not caught off guard. He was not freaking out about what happened, the choices you made, the decisions that may have led to things you encountered, or maybe not. Maybe they just happened. And so to be able to do that, to choose that, to go down that road, there is a need to be connected with God, number one and foremost, but also to have some awareness of your mental and emotional health and well-being. That's kind of where I want to land today. I want to talk today. I have been in the counseling mental health circles for most of my life, over half of my life, well over half of my life, 4 years, over half my life. So I, for 34 years, have been growing in self-awareness and trying to make mental and emotional healthy choices, trying to understand what's going on inside that leads to ways that I choose to behave. I've gotten better. It's a journey. And I don't think any of us will arrive where we can be 100% emotionally emotionally aware, making good and right relationship choices or whatever's the thing. No, I don't want to say that. I want to say this. So when we are aware, we are usually able to conduct our lives in a healthy manner. But sometimes we're not aware of what is going on. We just know that we're doing things that we don't typically do. We're eating our feelings. We're just like, I don't want this. I'm not even hungry, but I'm eating anyway. I'm scrolling. Though I have a gazillion things to do and people to tend to, I'm going to sit here and scroll anyway. I'm compulsively buying, shopping, whatever. Usually it shows up in an unhealthy way. We are medicating the things inside that we don't understand, that we haven't paid attention to. And even though I am typically aware of things that are going on, sometimes I'm not. And sometimes I am aware and I still choose the unhealthy behavior anyway, for whatever reason. Like, the heck with it. I'm tired of trying. This hasn't changed. This will never go away. I've dealt with this my entire life. Pass the chocolate or whatever. there was recently a situation that arose that blindsided me. Um, and I didn't process it because I didn't know what I needed to process necessarily. And there were consequences that I didn't like. And after the processing was finished, I felt really dumb that I didn't catch that and that I wasn't aware of what was going on. Like we all typically have these core feelings that sway us, that form our opinions about life and about who we think we are, about how we show up in the world. And I've known for a long time what mine are. A lot of people have the I'm not enough. That's like their a core feeling that they carry with them. Mine is more of a I'm not important. I don't matter. Took me years to discover that. But when that happens, when I don't take the time to deal with whatever has caused those feelings, it's going to get ugly for me. It's going to get ugly and bad for me. And so the recent um incident involved one of my kids, which is my life. Not my life. I have a life outside my kids, but I love my kids, like we all do. And they're a big part of they are my heart. Let's call them that. They're my heart. And so I don't get to spend as much time with them as I used to. They don't live here, or as much as I want to. And so recently, my son, who lives in California, you've heard about him, and his girlfriend came home for a week. And I knew there were a lot of things going on. There was a wedding, rehearsal, just things going on that I knew about in advance. But I was anticipating spending more time with him and them, and it didn't happen. There was no communication about it, I guess, except for what I knew was going to take place. And so because of some other situations that were going on in my life, I was already feeling the I don't matter, I'm not important. And that compounded it. Like the fact that I envisioned their visit to go differently than it was going. And I'm not proud of this and I don't even want to say it, but like I just kind of shut down on them. Like I'm doing my life, I'm doing my things, but I was just kind of like, seriously, if this is what it's gonna look like, you don't you're here, but you're not here. You're here to be fed, which they didn't even eat here that much, to sleep, to shower. Um, really not what I was anticipating. And I just kind of when we were around, which ended up being not very much time at all. I didn't really interact with them much. My son noticed, which is a good thing. Not only did he notice, good because they noticed, of course they noticed, but he reached out and said, "Hey, if like you're upset, you want to talk about this?" And I'm like, "Nope, I didn't say that." Just kind of put it off, and we ended up having a conversation, and it was a good conversation. And not until that conversation did I realize what I was feeling, and it really had nothing, it had a little bit to do with the visit and my expectations about their visit, but it really had nothing to do with them because generally I knew they had a lot going on, a lot of people to see, a lot of plans. So it's so important to communicate. My son said, hey, maybe next time you can just communicate, even if you don't know what's going on and you haven't figured out how to process it or what you even need to process. Maybe communicate that to me so I'll know. Then they go, that's brilliant. That's genius. Like, I already know that. It doesn't matter if I knew it or not. I didn't know it. Like in the moment, in the midst of all the emotions, I didn't know it. And that's the funny thing about emotions. We can get so caught up in them and in the feelings that are overwhelming that we forget what we know and we don't act on the things that we know. I don't know where I could have stopped. Like I should have stopped way before their visit, I guess, because there were already some things. And I thought I was keeping a pretty good finger on the pulse of all the situations going on in my life that were causing some stress and causing those core feelings, core beliefs to manifest in some feelings that weren't healthy. So we can't be perfect all the time. And thank God for forgiving people, for grace, that my son and his girlfriend graciously forgave me and didn't begrudge me the time they had left, which ended up being a good time, a good conversation, fun, laughter. It was just cut short because they were leaving the next day. And it was me. I own it. It was me. That visit wasn't what I had anticipated. I think my son and even his girlfriend anticipated spending a little more time than they did with um me and the family. And it's due to me. I mean, that was all, it's all on me. Kudos to them for reaching out, kudos to them for listening, kudos to them for sharing and caring. And boy, do I feel blessed to have that in my life, because some people have to do this all by themselves. And I didn't. And it was quite humbling to ask to apologize and have them forgive me and all the things, it's the parents, but they're adults, so we're relating on adult level. And I was really quite um and impressed, I guess, to hear the way they were conducting their relationship and their emotional lives in preparation for marriage when they so there were some silver linings. There's always silver linings. There's always lessons to be learned. There are always all the things that come along. So I want to encourage you in your mental and emotional awareness journey. You're not going to do it perfectly, and that's okay. You can't. It's okay when you don't. You can start again at any given time. You can end and process. You can stop and process. You can pause and process and discover what it is that's going on and how you want to move forward. It's life. That's how we were created. And if you don't have people in your life that are able to help you, it's really important to find a community, whether it's one or two persons that you can talk to and to hash things out with, that can maybe even say, hey, so I'm noticing this. And as embarrassing and humbling as it is, sometimes it's just better to get it out so you can move forward and move past it. So I don't know if any of that resonated with you, and if maybe it's just me. I know it's not. I talk to too many people who go through the same thing. And even if you are well aware, have a tremendous amount of self-awareness. It's gonna happen occasionally. Hopefully it won't go on as long in your life as long as it did in mine, and it won't interfere in important situations and relationships. But it probably will. Because again, life. Yeah. So I hope that, I hope that helps at least one person. Because that's why we're here. Wanting you to not feel alone in your journey, wanting you to know that you aren't alone. You have a loving father who's there for you, with you, waiting for you to ask for help when you need it. Thanks for joining on this alone time. Did I mention that this is sort of impromptu? I just found out that my guest couldn't make it today, and I had the time, so I'm like, let's do something. And as you can tell, it wasn't scripted, and that's okay too. I like to talk from my heart, so I hope my ramblings made sense to you and you were able to connect and identify. I'll be back next week with a guest. I hope you are too.